Chapter 3. The Akashic Traveler. The offices, including Dr. Gregorio's, were unpretentious in their furnishings. Though modern, they were natural wood colors and designed for comfort. There were indoor gardens everywhere. The whole building, hallways, and rooms alike were filled with beautiful indoor plants. Their fragrance filled the air with the freshness of new oxygen. My kind of place, I thought, well pleased. Dr. Gregorio's office was on a side of the building facing out toward the property behind. Beautiful green grass filled most of the acreage. A mixture of trees gave much shade and loveliness to the scene. Dr. Gregorio himself was the most sincere and comfortable-looking man I had ever seen. His presence gave off a feeling of goodness, happiness, and truth. His white hair and white beard gave him a coolness that blended well with his strong and healthy appearance. His age was apparent, but he was not old-looking. He was wearing a white shirt with long white pants and brown sandals. "Hello," I smiled, shaking his hand. "Hello," he said, reaching over from his desk. "Have a seat. Please, Rahedra, you too." The open sliding door was to his back. His luminous presence made the background stand out much more, or maybe he stood out more. It was hard to tell. It all looked like a mystical painting. "I'm Dr. Gregorio by profession, but I would prefer if you called me Jason." I nodded. A few seconds went by. Hypnotized by his unusual appearance, I said nothing. His eyes met mine, and he began to talk. "Paul, as Rahedra has told you, a vital past situation of Earth's history will soon recur. You also know about the Akashic Record, which is the source that drew us to you." I nodded. "Once I found out that you, your soul, was living a present incarnation, I invaded your privacy a little by investigating your life. What I learned was that you are young, very healthy, and most of all, very free, intelligent, and creative. I did this research through a private investigation firm. As far as your presence in this and other incarnations, I myself did the research through the Akashic Record." I was growing a little tense, not scared, just tense. I felt a punchline was coming, and I wondered what the heck it would be. "In your past lives, 2 of them in particular, you were present during a historical and vital occurrence that would have changed the course of the world had it been properly recorded and revealed to the public. In one case, you were with a group of persons, and the news of the occurrence was spread and documented. This occurrence was over 4,000 years ago. Time has lost its real documentation. Time has also lost its impact, as well as the belief that it actually ever happened. The second one was more recent, at the end of revolutionary America. The occurrence was kept quiet by the government at that time, not allowing the nation or the world to benefit. However, considering the time, there was no effective way to prove and relay it. So, it was also lost to time and memory." His words had impact, but I found myself questioning why he had been so direct. I had not been there 10 minutes, and I was already in a serious conversation. I didn't feel threatened. I looked over at Rahedra, but I still felt tense. His manner was straightforward and so real. I felt he knew I preferred him to get to the point. Now I was thinking about it, just the same, because here was this man who had done it because he knew it should be done. I don't know. He knew. She knew. I knew. We all knew exactly what the other expected or wanted from the other. Considering the strange circumstances, there was no need to point out that there would be an explanation. It was just simply explained. Somehow it all seemed very familiar to me as well. During this past life in early America, the information on the occurrence was documented and signed by over 20 prominent witnesses, then filed and recorded by the government. There was no national or public release of this news. It was felt by the government that it would cause widespread panic and disorder. You were one of the witnesses who signed the documents recording what took place. At this time, there are no other living incarnations who witnessed this occurrence. Considering that you and your soul saw the same occurrence once long ago, there is a strong probability that you are going to see it again when the occurrence appears this third time. Had I not noticed this, destiny probably would have made you be present at this next occurrence through some other means. But I saw in the Akashic record the opportunity to be a part of this ultimate destiny. Now that you are here, it seems destiny has chosen for us to meet. I now consider it my destiny as well as that of those here. Do you follow? You mean it was going to happen either way? Then once you discovered it, or it you, the opportunity presented itself for you to see it through, and you did. So it became, and always was, your destiny too. There was no more need for destiny to find me a direction to my path. Through the Akashic record, all of us here have found that path by you bringing us all together. That's exactly it. Yes, good. You understand. I think I could use a little more so I can really understand. I don't think I get it all just yet. What is this reoccurrence? I asked while letting my mind settle from the rattling it had just gone through. Somehow I was still very comfortable and familiar with it all. It was as if I was adjusting my memory after a bump on the head. I can sit here and try to tell you, but I was thinking more in terms of having you go back to relive the experience all over again. That way, you could get first-hand insight and recollection of what exactly happened back in your past lives. In turn, we may be able to make the world more aware of this vital piece of history, so they'll be prepared for its next coming. I'm sure you don't have a time machine, right? I gulped, smiled. Right, he smiled back. Then you must want to put me through regression? I asked. That is what I had in mind. Also, once this has been done, you will be given the option of whether you want to continue on this destined path or not. You mean I'll have a choice, even for the occurrence? You always have a choice, as long as you are aware that you do. Would this be now, like today? No, not at all. There are arrangements that you can agree to, and if you like them, in a few days, your regressions will begin. What are the conditions? Rahedra will tell you later. Listen, I am 63 years old. I have lived a lot of life, and now my interests are my work and my eternal soul. You two are young, so enjoy your time getting to know each other. We will get better acquainted as we go along. Rehedra will fill you in on anything you may need to know. I need to attend to some business. Rehedra will show you around a bit. We'll get together again soon, he smiled. Question, I said. How did I happen to be the one? Or how did you find out the occurrence would come again? Have you ever picked up a dictionary and just flipped through the pages and read words? I nodded a yes. You just sort of opened this Akashic record and there was me in these occurrences? I said. Sort of. I found one of them by that means. The other I searched by knowing your soul and checking your other lives and your present life. And then again, maybe it was destiny that flipped the pages for me, so to speak. What is this record? I mean, how do you read it? Like a book? Not quite. I'll explain that later. It is a bit complex. But if your curiosity can hold from not knowing about the occurrences until you have been regressed, then you will surely survive awaiting this particular knowledge, won't you? Yeah. How much do you actually know about me? There are two kinds of dictionaries. One with every single word in it, and there is one with only the most common and important words. I know as much about you as is told in your common dictionary. I did not look into times or events in your past that were not directly related to the occurrence. Still that much, huh? Yes, that much, he smiled. Or that little. This is important, Paul. Very important. Do not get too quickly concerned over the seriousness, but do treat it with respect for the next day or so, please. Soon, very soon, you will have it all before you, so you yourself can discern, decide, and evaluate. That sounds fair enough. Great. I'll see you both later. He shook my hand again, smiled and nodded at Rehedra, then exited through the open sliding glass door and disappeared, as if we had just casually finished a meeting between people who already knew each other. But then again, we did know each other, so it seemed, and so I had been told. Now I suddenly had this intense desire to remember again. I looked over at Rehedra. She looked back at me. Well, I said, I guess you have some more things to tell me, considering I've learned much but still know nothing, I joked. Let's walk around the buildings so you can get a tour of the place. Sounds good to me. Let's go, she said, heading for the glass door. Somehow the lack of ceremony, or the casual reference to the reasons for my being here, makes it seem so unreal, I sighed. If there were brass bands banging and a crowd of people watching, would you be more comfortable? No, probably not. In fact, not at all. Dr. Jason, knowing so much about your soul and about your past lives and your present life, has established a sort of curriculum that will gradually reveal everything to you. If you have questions, they will be answered. And as he said, I'll explain it all to you as we go along. It's a little obscure right now, but everything has been arranged to fit with your own personality and to how you would most like and accept things. You've got it all pretty well down, huh? Pretty much, she said. At this stage, Dr. Jason said that a determining factor to your acceptance of your destiny would come about. Since your destiny has been given to you so unusually pre-planned, there were two ways you could have reacted. You could have let your ego inflate out of proportion and taken it all as being very special and pushing an attitude of superiority. On the other hand, you could have taken it calmly and with question, which would prove that you are special, but without the need for the fanfare. Then you would begin to grow into your position of importance, well guided, and with a good outlook on the effects it may have on others. You are very important to this project, Paul, and it's obvious to see you are not taking the vain, egotistical outlook, and that is wonderful. You are special, and all of us here will try to help if you begin to feel insecure with the upcoming events. The occurrence could have appeared in another manner, such as a dream or vision. It's possible that without our help, it would not have been as believable to the world. With our resources and methods, we will be assisting you in this great destiny and occurrence. The best way I can think of explaining it is to quote a saying, "God helps those that help themselves." God's destiny will not stop and will still be fulfilled, as we are not the only ones that can help destiny to see itself through. God will always give us a choice, or so it seems. Our destiny is ours to fulfill, and this choice we have seems very real, just as the need to keep our destiny is as real, and I think I am starting to mix things up a bit. It's fine. I am confused, but I do understand it as well. Boy, talk about waking up one morning to something different. I laughed, feeling truly embarrassed, and blushed. I mean, yesterday I was just some guy from L.A. Now it seems I'm from somewhere totally different, like I don't know. It's not on the tip of my tongue, but on the tip of my mind or sight. But I just can't bring it into focus. But how special can this occurrence, or me, actually be? I asked. Very. She consoled me as she pulled me by the hand and headed us out the door to begin my tour of the Freedom Foundation. The entire back and side of the office building were all glass windows. Inside, there were several people working at various stations. Rahedra waved at them. They waved back. She explained who they were and what position they held in the organization. We walked around the backside of the research building to the recreation area. There was a giant swimming pool surrounded by a tennis court, basketball court, some gymnastic bars, and a small building which housed dressing and shower facilities. I asked if we could go into the research building. She mentioned that Dr. Jason would personally give me a tour of the place later on in the week, and that he was inside there now. But some experiments were underway, and now was not the time. "More to hold for my curiosity?" I said. "More," she laughed. The sun was much brighter now, and it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but the clouds were starting to gather again towards the mountains. This place was so naturally beautiful that just being there made it all worth it. We walked by the sand-filled areas under the gym bars. I plopped down on the ground, looked up at her, and asked, Can you tell me about the curriculum that will unveil my future? Please?" She sat on the cement railing and smiled. "Okay," she said. "Here goes. And of course, as in any business arrangement, this curriculum is subject to some changes if you feel they are needed, okay?" "Okay, shoot," I said. "Well, for the next 2 or 3 days, you are to just enjoy yourself and use these exercise facilities as often as possible. The healthier you are, the better you will be in the regressions, and besides, we know you enjoy the exercise anyway. When you're not working out, you are free to do whatever you like. After these few days, your regressions will begin, and you will be told what the occurrence will be by reliving the ones from your past lives. Then, if you agree, another training program will take place to prepare you for what will happen and for what you will be doing while it is happening. You can do anything you want. If you wish privacy or need private situations, you may do so at your own leisure." "I like it here," I said. "But how about you? What do you do?" "I am a part of this project also, and I'll be present throughout. And, as Dr. Jason said, I've been assigned to keep you informed, so I'll always be near." "Listen," I said, "I'm hungry, and you still owe me a lunch and a dinner date. Are you still up for that?" "Sure," she smiled. "You can fill me in on the other duties later, okay?" I smiled back. "Okay. The best restaurant I know of is that one we passed earlier. They have a small cafeteria here, but it's best for breakfast." "Let's go," I said. The food was delicious. Rahedra and I had a great time. The people in the restaurant were very friendly. The atmosphere about everything was so naturally paced. People smiled, the air was clean, and the landscape was wondrous. No one was rushing around as everyone did in L.A. L.A., how far away it seemed. Only 5 hours before, I was on my way to my usual routine and daily turmoil, and now, less than half a day later, it seemed like it had never really been. My mind was drifting in a wonderland of what seemed to be incredible events, but with a feeling of comfort that seemed incredible on its own. Rahedra paid the bill with what she said was a company credit card. I dropped a tip on the table and declared I would be back again soon. I can't recall feeling my steps, but suddenly we were at the car again and on our way back into our destiny. "Would you mind driving?" I asked. "No more paranoia?" she smiled. "Oh, yes, but I just don't feel you would be a lousy driver. And besides, if you enticed me into my destiny, why not let you drive me there too?" I smiled. Many memories swelled in my mind. I wondered if destiny knew when I was a child that it had me in mind for something. I looked over at Rahedra. I knew by her eyes that she had again looked into my back door, my mind. She had seen my memories. She chose to take a drive by the ocean to enjoy the scenery. When we arrived, we decided to walk down to the beach. Rahedra had a blanket in her car, so we took it with us and stretched it over the sand and sat there listening to the continuous roar of the crashing waves. The sky was clear again. The sea breeze was refreshing. It was obvious by now that Rahedra adored nature as much as I did. My idea of always taking a scenic route or stopping to admire a beautiful landscape fit in well with hers. "Have you ever been regressed?" I asked. Many times, she said. Then you've seen us when we were together in these past lives? She nodded a yes. Were you there during any of these occurrences? No, that is why we need you. How did you develop your abilities to be psychic and know these things? Dr. Jason has worked with me, and similar methods will be used with you. It's also something I have as a natural gift, she said honestly. I guess I can ask question after question, but until I see, I won't really know. That is why Dr. Jason feels it will be better for you to see for yourself. He knows you've been studying metaphysics for many years, off and on. He knows you know enough to accept the concepts and are open-minded enough to accept learning something new, and that your interest in these things was preparing you for this moment. Yeah, I said, lying back. I stared off into eternity, pleased by all the wonder. The sun was moving toward the horizon in its daily race to climb the skies. We lay there watching it move, saying little to each other. Without complaints or any other desire in mind, we laid our backs to the earth for hours, just watching, listening to and enjoying nature. Some moments were filled with sleep, some filled with wonder, others with a sensation of a growing attraction we felt for each other. After all, we had been together before. We both must have fallen into one of our periodic slumbers, for when the rain suddenly began to fall on us, we were caught by surprise. "Head for the car!" I yelled. Grabbing the blanket, we hurried off from the sprinkle that was growing quickly into a shower. I started up the engine, turned on the heater, and waited to warm up from the cold. The sun had disappeared behind the dark clouds. The horizon was cut by the white foam from the crashing waves. "Just in time," I laughed. "Just in time," she smiled. Her sleepy look was so inviting. I saw only Rahedra, the woman, this time. I knew by her look that she was now seeing only the man in me also. I leaned over, slowly, unsure, and touched her lips to mine. Her response was as mine, unsure, but wanting. We kissed for a long moment. "Head for freedom," she said. This time I was the driver. The rain was fierce in some places along the drive from the beach. We reached freedom at dusk and drove around the back road. Some lights were on in the research building. Rahedra explained that some experiments were checked on at all hours. We came to a small road, turned off, and drove into a driveway. A small cottage made of logs and stone could be seen from the headlights. "That's my place," she said. "It's owned by Freedom, as are all the others around here. They are part of the wages we earn. Your cabin is a few more down, but how about coming in for dinner? Unless you would rather not," she said. "No, I mean yes. Dinner sounds great," I pleaded. She opened her door and we entered. There were plants everywhere. Rahedra began to light the fireplace. "I know a lot about you," she began. "Every project is different. In some cases, a person is only around for one facet. The most important thing you will realize is that all who are involved with this project have been well briefed. Because it has been known that you would be present at the reoccurrence, we all have been taught all about you already. Dr. Jason, the faculty, and I don't know exactly what is to recur. But we have faith in Dr. Jason, and know in time we will find out. It's not your fault that you are needed as the key to this project. It's important that you try to feel like you've known everyone and remember their importance to this project. That was one factor we were concerned about. We now know you won't be over-egotistical about your place. That is good, but remember, these people know you, and I mean they know you. You will never know them as they know you. They accept it. The way to make them feel best is to always acknowledge everyone so that they will continue to offer their input and expertise. Wow, big speech, I said, sitting down. But I understand it exactly. And, Rahedra, I won't do any less than what they so very deserve. I smiled, still not knowing really what I was to do. She smiled right in agreement. I was afraid I wouldn't get through without offending you. Whenever you wish to say something, just say it. I can and will separate the importance of your work with freedom from my personal feelings. I understand you have a job to do. I'll make it as easy and as interesting for you as I can, I answered. And me for you, she said. Great. Let me ask you, I said, exaggerating my interest. How did you know you would like me, and how did you know I would fall for you? D-E-S-T-I-N-Y, she spelled. Then there is the excitement of love at first sight, at least in this life and in this time around. After all, my ease comes in having seen us together in the past, she smiled. You're intellectual. You're psychic. You're really a great individual. You're beautiful and so nice to my sight right now. I am high on this whole experience. I just hope when I wake up tomorrow, it will all be real and not a dream. It feels like a dream. It seems too fantastic not to be a dream, but I sure hope it's not. It's not. You'll wake up to it all again tomorrow, and, well, we'll make sure to convince you that it is real, she said. The fireplace was roaring with flames as the shadows of night began to dance about the ceiling, casting images that entranced me into a slumber. A slumber filled with distant memories and long-ago images of places and times that were alive deep within the recesses of my subconscious mind. It was early the next day when I awoke to Rahedra singing along with the whistling of the morning songbirds. I was still exactly where I had been in front of the fireplace, though I had been covered with a blanket, and there was the bouquet of burning embers and steaming hot tea filling my senses. Take your drink to go, she said. Your cabin is the third one from here, and there you will find everything you need. After you get ready for your first day at freedom, come on back, and we will begin with everything that is at hand.